Ladies and gentlemen, top of the week to all of you. We are live on YouTube and Twitch, or maybe we're just playing in the background of your home or in your car. This is episode 54 of the Anglo-Italian pod. As always, I'm Tommaso and I'm joined by my good friend and the tea-sipping co-host, Rory Criscolo. How are you today, Rory?
I'm good. Picking the worst possible moment to have the first sip of my tea, but I just realised that maybe it's not that hot anymore and it's time to drink it. You'll feel the benefits later when the energy of this green tea is roaring through my veins.
Spelled like your name, roaring through your
Exactly.
veins.
Yeah. A little subtle pun in there for you guys.
There you
How are we
go.
doing, Tommy? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. The spring has sprung. God bless daylight savings. I think it's one of the tightest shit in the world.
I
Love
love
it whenever it happens. You have to sacrifice that 1 hour sleep. That kind of messed with me for a second, but I mean, the sky is still pretty clear as we are speaking. And on Saturday, I went grilling for the first time since years, I want to say, and I rocked my first shorts of 2022. How about that?
Snap! I was rocking shorts this weekend, and I was honestly, I was walking through the centre of Milan, and everyone was like staring at me. There was people still in winter coats. Man, it is crazy how differently people feel temperature. I was like rocking in sunglasses, shorts, t-shirt, just walking down the street. Grannies in scarves. It was a bit. People were looking at me like I was crazy.
Yeah, no, a lot of people were ripping on me at the barbecue. They were just like, dude, you're gonna be cold when the sun comes down. I was like, well, there is a fire pit. We're gonna rock a fire. I'm good, guys. I was good the entire day. But yes, it's been good. I've finally accepted that we're not going to the World Cup. Quite a few Qatar jokes here and there at the barbecue as well. How have you been?
I've been good. I have been good. Yeah, like you said, sunny weekend. First trip to the park this year, I think. Sat in Sempione for a few hours. Um, a football-free weekend. So, what did I do to replace the lack of football? I watched football documentaries on Amazon Prime instead. There's always a way to get your fix.
Which ones
Always a
did you
way.
watch? Which ones?
I watched Chivas, which was about Chivas Guadalajara in Mexico, which was actually it was okay. It was okay. It was only like 4 episodes. It was pretty interesting about a team I didn't really know much about, some players that I've now looked at on Football Manager. It was pretty good. And then I watched the first few episodes of the Simeone one, which I think is really good, actually, really interesting.
Didn't you think like the first episode was a bit too family oriented?
No, I quite liked it because I know nothing about him. And I knew, like, to be honest, I knew very little about his playing career. And it kind of goes into it a little bit of like where he started and stuff. And I was like, I honestly knew nothing about him. I knew that he played at Inter. I don't know how many trophies he won. I knew that he played at Atletico. Don't know what he won. So I kind of feel like I'm genuinely learning
Catching
about
up.
him. So it's good. Yeah.
Great. Also, once again, I have to say it, I just loved the interview that we did with Daniele Tinti. It was a great success. Thank you so much to all of our new followers. And thanks, Daniele,
Mm-hmm.
for reposting us. It was great. I had a great time. And talking about comedy and comedians, Rory, we need to address something that is not football related, but that has generated quite a whirlwind of football related memes, including for the Anglo-Italian pod. Rory was on his meme antics this morning, and
I was on the train very bored on the way to work. Yes, correct.
but
Yeah.
so Chris Rock making a joke. I'm not gonna say making a borderline joke because, as an Italian comedian said, he said saying that it was a borderline joke sounds a lot like that girl was wearing a very short skirt. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, fine. So he made a joke. Will Smith took some got offended, walked on stage and slapped
So
the shit
weird,
out of him.
man.
So, what was your reaction when you saw the clip?
At first, I was because obviously, listeners, you'll be shocked to know the first thing I do when I get out of bed is roll over and go straight onto Twitter. So it was like I went on Twitter and I saw loads of people tweeting about Will Smith. What the hell is this? Obviously, saw the video and I was genuinely a little bit like shocked. I was like, "Holy crap! What the hell was that?" At first, I thought it was a little bit staged. I was like, "Is that real? Is that like just trying to get some hype?" And then I was like, at first Will Smith laughs and then all of a sudden he's really pissed off. But my first instinct was like, it's a joke. Will Smith should be able to take that better, and Chris Rock can take a hit. Like I know it was a slap, not a punch, but his feet didn't even move. Like he took that like a champ, and I think he actually acted pretty classily the whole way through it. Because I said to you before we pressed record, Tommy, like the fact that after he's hit, you can see Chris Rock thinking, and he goes, I could, never mind. And he stops himself. More than anything, I want to know what the joke is that came to his mind. I want to know, because he could have absolutely torched him then, I think.
Ladies and
But he
gentlemen,
didn't.
you'll be delighted to know that Chris Rock is the next guest at the Anglo-Italian
Yeah,
pod,
turns
so
out
he
he's
will
a
be able to
massive
tell us
soccer fan.
everything about it. About I was about to say I could, but look, it was quite ridiculous. I think that with comedy, especially Americans, they always take the shit out of each other, and I don't know, they always make offensive jokes, especially when it feels like when you become a celebrity in the United States, you have so many things that other people don't have, that at least you should be able to laugh about yourself. And I don't think the joke was even that bad. He was joking about, I don't know how she feels about it, but I know that they know each other, so I want to think that maybe she was in a bit of a hissy mood. And also Will Smith, come on, man. Like, at first you laugh, and then you look at you. That looked like Frank Lampard, right? At first you laugh, and then you become super serious. I think it was our friend Adam from the Hopeless Wanderer podcast that made us notice that.
I saw it. It's been on Twitter all day today as well. You know the video of Mourinho where he sits down on the bench, then his assistant says something, and he just goes fucking crazy. And it's like when Jada told Will that she didn't like the joke, and he just goes fucking mad, like running off the bench. It was really, really like nobody came out of that moment particularly well. Like a lot of people are pissed off with Chris Rock, a lot of people are pissed off with Will Smith, a lot of people are pissed off with Jada. There was no winners in that situation. I just know that for Will Smith, to have your wife publicly humiliate you for quite so long, maybe it was just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Hopeless Wanderer with a great point that I agree with 100%. I literally just rewatched before we clicked the play the whole bit. Ricky Gervais did worse jokes, but they wouldn't start on him. True, 100%.
There was definitely a moment where Mel Gibson looked like he wanted to strangle him as well. It was like, I think he has to present one of the awards after Ricky Gervais. He looks like he's going to kill him.
But
it's interesting, isn't it? I think it set a precedent for people actually getting up and hitting comedians now? Because I think there's a lot of comedians who are going to be terrified if that's the case. Jimmy Carr's in trouble.
Yeah, your guy right here is currently attending a stand-up comedy course, and I think that
you have to take him a kickboxing course alongside.
Yeah, exactly. But Rory, connecting it to football, has there ever been a moment in your footballing fan career that you've wanted to pull a Will Smith on a Chris Rock of a player?
I think there's so many Arsenal players that are jumping to mind now. I think Mustafi, Shkodran Mustafi, the moment he signed for the club, every defensive performance since, especially the League Cup final against Man City, where he just completely shirked out of a header and we're 1-0 down in 3 minutes. But I think I'm going to say Granit Xhaka, although he could definitely clean me out with half a punch. I think so many of his red cards have put us in such shit situations that I'm going to say, yeah, Granit Xhaka. The red card against Burnley springs to mind where I just think, oh, fuck you. Why have you got to be like that?
Why did you do that?
What about yourself, Tommy?
Let's start from recently. Fucking Jorginho, when he missed the second penalty against Switzerland, that would have loved to go in there and just bam. And other circumstances, I don't know. I'm thinking of Simone Inzaghi not putting in Dzeko and other strikers at Anfield. That could have been also a slap moment. Like, dude, come on. But it would have been like to be like, come on, man, you're not doing the right thing.
That's a massive shout. Harry Kane in the World Cup semi-final against Croatia, where he doesn't put Raheem Sterling through. Yeah, I'll take that one. Hopeless one, just say Will Smith and Chris Rock reminds you of when Lee Bowyer and Kieran Dyer had a fight. Now, Tommy, I don't know if you've seen this clip.
Nope,
Newcastle never. United, Lee Bowyer and Kieran Dyer were both on the same team. Now, the story since is that Lee Bowyer didn't pass the ball to Kieran Dyer, and Kieran Dyer said, pass me the ball. He said, why? You're fucking shit. And then they just started full on scrapping on the field. I think it was Gareth Barry tried to pull them apart, and there was another fantastic meme.
Wait. Gareth Barry tried to pull them apart?
So he was a Villa player. He wasn't playing for Newcastle. He was playing for Aston Villa, and he tried to separate them from fighting each other.
Out of all people, I would have expected him to just jump in and just start fighting the people as well, right?
He was peacekeeper, and then the funniest thing was they then had to, the next day, they were forced to make this really staged apology by the manager. I can't remember who the manager was. I think it was Kevin Keegan, maybe. And he was like, say you're sorry. And he was like, I'm really sorry for my behavior. I shouldn't have behaved that way. Like he was a school kid. It was unbelievable. But I did see a meme today with Chris Rock and Will Smith as the players, and then the Oscar statue as the guy separating them. So good. So good.
That was brilliant indeed. Time to actually talk about football, but still football mixed with comedy, as Leonardo Bonucci goes in front of a camera on Italian television to say that UEFA and FIFA have very unfair rules for what concerns the World Cup qualification. I just thought it was absolutely ridiculous. His point is that there are certain confederations, hint, hint, where teams have lost 4 to 5 games and still managed to qualify for the World Cup. And it's just unfair that the Azzurri lost one single game throughout the entire campaign and didn't go through. Now, is it rough? Yes. Did you know the rules beforehand? Yes. In that group where Italy is supposed to get out, not comfortably, but to get out? Yes. Were you supposed to win against Macedonia? Yes. Then what are we talking about? What's your reaction to those words, Rory?
I'm never going to be upset seeing Bonucci upset. I'm always going to laugh whenever Bonucci is upset. For the "it's coming Rome" screaming down the camera, for him just being a general bell end in All or Nothing, for his just general vibe, I don't like the guy. So whenever he's upset, I'm happy. So good. Sorry, Leo, but good. The sooner he retires, the better. I really don't like the guy.
Yeah, no, and I think I don't know, it's just like complaining about the rules after you failed so miserably against a team that you should be easily beating. I don't know.
Well, that's it, exactly. It's not like it all came down to that match because of a series of failures in all the other matches. Like, it wasn't like, you have one game to qualify, no other games, just one. If you lose it, you're fucked. Okay, I get it. But no, you've played about 10, 12 games over that course. You've had your chance to qualify. Like, that's
100%.
not... It's not the rules that cost you. There is a conversation to be had about how difficult it is to qualify in Europe and Africa. Africa only get 5 slots, by the way, for 52 countries. Like, there is a conversation to be had, but I don't think now is the time after you're obviously just a bit of a sore loser.
Yeah, 100%. And let's get to the actual football. No more comedy. We're going to start with
Not another laugh in the show.
Not another laugh. Super serious from now on. Okay, Rory, let's start from the friendlies that were played over the weekend. England come out winners with a 2-1 win. Rory, tell us about it.
England, beat Switzerland 2-1. Switzerland, despite the shit we've talked about them in the past and our personal feelings towards the country, I think they are possibly one of the most underrated teams in world football. They're a very, very good team. Got lots of great players. They opened the scoring through Mbolo. Now, Ben White did not cover himself in glory. Just completely missed the header for a guy about 2 foot shorter than him to head it into the goal. Switzerland were 1-0 up, but England started really slowly. Now, they tried a 3-5-2 system that they haven't really played that much. So Gareth Southgate's definitely playing around, seeing what he can do. Lots of debutants, Mark Guehi, Ben White, Conor Gallagher. So it was an experimental team. But England started really slowly. Switzerland could have been 2 or 3 up if it wasn't for Jordan Pickford, who made some unbelievable saves. I think it's like Jordan Pickford's a really interesting one because obviously for Everton, they're in a lot of trouble. He's conceding a lot of goals, but the defence in front of him is terrible. And I find him really fascinating because for club, he has tended to make mistakes. For country, touch wood, he never has. Now, on one hand, I'm like, this is great. We have a goalkeeper that never makes mistakes, but it also terrifies me because he'll definitely save that first mistake for an international final. Like, that's what happens.
Just like Jorginho never missing a penalty, right? Last year.
Yeah.
He called it.
But England were, as Hopeless Wanderer say, thought England were very fortunate. First half especially, I think we were. Second half, we were much better. Luke Shaw got the goal in the first half. Second half, Harry Kane got a late penalty. He now equals Sir Bobby Charlton's record of 49 goals. He's only 4 goals away from equaling Wayne Rooney. I would be very surprised if he didn't overtake that record. The problem is he could do it in front of an empty Wembley because England fans managed to fight amongst themselves. There was loads of crowd trouble. Well, there was some crowd trouble in the game. And it's a problem that's creeping back into English football. And I think there's a conversation to be had as well about the popularity of cocaine among England fans. It is like we've all been to football stadiums where we've seen people use it. We've been around it. We know how it mixes with alcohol, and I think there is genuinely a problem within English football at the moment about this being in our stadiums. There's a great video by Tifo on YouTube talking about it, and we can see that now, as Mon Sportif say, Wembley is now a toxic atmosphere. England have always had a section of fans that are looking for a fight, that are aggressive, that are drunk, and now it's drunk and coked off the nuts. And I think it's just making for an atmosphere just at the time where the England team is getting approachable, likable, the country's getting behind it. Again, this section of fans are ruining it, and it's really, really disheartening. It's really infuriating. And it could see England miss out on major tournaments. Now, it looks like they've been picked to host the next Euros or the Euros after that. But I wouldn't be surprised if the crowd trouble continues for it to be taken away, because we saw at the final in the last Euros, there was all sorts of trouble. And I'm just sick of, whenever you support England, you have to caveat it with, I'm sorry for our fans. Just every time you end up apologising for a certain section of the support. And it's so disheartening. Other countries don't really have it. Like, unless you go into Eastern Europe, which is a whole different case, it feels like other countries don't really have it. Like Ireland don't have it. Wales don't have it. Scotland don't have it. Northern Ireland don't have it. Like, so it's literally of the United Kingdom and Ireland, England's the only country that has this kind of violent, poisonous section of support. And it's so tiring.
Mm-hmm. 100%. I agree. The FA and policing needs to get on top of it, says our friend, the Hopeless Wanderer Pod, and start banning these embarrassing imbeciles, I want to say.
Yeah.
By the way,
Well, they tried it originally. Sorry, Tommy. They tried it originally with the stadium bans, and it got rid of it reduced the hooliganism that was bad in the 80s and 90s by getting people to hand in their passports, and it did have a big effect on like the match going experience, making it more of a family feel. It's just the problem with, like, I don't want to get too like into the grass here, but like the problem with a substance like cocaine is it's very easy to hide. How do you find someone that has it? Like
dogs.
if someone's smuggling alcohol into a ground, it's much easier to find. You can say sniffer dogs, but there are thousands and thousands of people. How many sniffer dogs do you have? Like, it is incredibly hard to police. And again, in the video on Tifo, they were talking about, the police were talking about it, and they said, look, our job is just to contain people. It is not to police what they're doing. We're just containing these people and making sure that whatever happens, it doesn't spill out any further. Because, getting into politics again, there's a massive lack of police officers in the UK as it is. So how many do you think there are at football grounds? Like, you're asking unrealistic things of the police officers at the same time. It's just, it all bleeds down to the current state of the country, unfortunately.
And Rory, somebody just rang at my doorbell. I don't know who it is. This is the beauty of being live. I will let you go talking to our friends live on the chat for 1 second.
Okay, I'm freewheeling. Let's see what happens. Excuse my Italian, but Wembley is now a shithole with minimum and painfully planned security. Yeah, well, I would have preferred them to just renovate old Wembley. I don't like the new Wembley. You're right. It's just not staffed enough, and it's a big place, right? It is a big, big place. But what annoys me about England games now is that I can't just talk about the game. I have to talk about the fans, and it's very, very tiring, as I said. And again, even living in Italy, when I've had to watch England games, or in my time living abroad, whenever I talked about supporting England, it's always been followed by either them asking me about our violent fans or me having to apologise for our fans. Hopeless Wanderer, they did a tour of the nation when Wembley travelled, and that worked better. That is a massive shout, and something, again, that I saw this weekend, like Italy playing in Palermo, I think Portugal were playing in Porto, right? There was a lot of countries not playing in their capital cities. And yeah, I think it was much better. Like, it made fans from all over the country able to see their team, able to see the players, and make it, again, with this team that's feeling more connected to fans, I think, and fans are feeling more connected too. It would be a great thing to kind of take that further and take it to Sunderland, Liverpool, like Norwich, wherever. You can take it all over the country and allow more people to see it. But I think everything in England is kind of London-centric or very London-centric. So I'm not massively surprised that it's all kept in London. I'm kind of afraid that Tommy's been kidnapped by the guy at the door, or the person at the door. So I'm going to another comment. Hopeless Wanderer, you are keeping me going here. Thank you very much. Even Poland have a main stadium in Warsaw, but will play the odd friendly elsewhere. Yeah, I think there's an opportunity there. And like the FA are definitely getting more open to these kind of things. I think they're starting to think more about fan engagement. So maybe it's something we will see. But I know that with Club Wembley, they do like to keep a lot of the matches there. And because people pay a lot of money for that Club Wembley, from what I remember. But while Tommy's not here, I'm going to take the reins and we're going to move on to Ireland 2, Belgium 2. This was a game that I really enjoyed, mainly because we're going to get to Canada, Hopeless Wanderer. We are going to get to Canada. I enjoyed this Ireland game because it was basically a year to the day since we had lost 1-0 to Luxembourg. There's been some ups and downs in that time, but we have gone from losing to Luxembourg to fighting back from a goal down twice against the formerly number 1 ranked team in the world, because Ireland have dethroned Belgium. It was a great result. Tommy, who was at the door?
Just guys, just like neighbors being neighbors. I'll just leave it to that. I don't want to add anything more. Just like neighbors managing to wind you up with nothing. No, they weren't complaining about
kicking the wall. Just start kicking the wall.
No, it was from kicking the cat last week. Do you remember when you had?
Right.
No, I'm
the
joking.
RSPCA are finally here.
I'm joking. No, but honestly, this result, I caught part of the highlights, not even the full thing, because it was 40 minutes highlights. So I watched like 10 minutes of those. But hey, great result on paper. I missed. I kind of didn't get how the game was, if it was a high intensity, low intensity. But 2-2 against Belgium, fucking sick.
It was, yeah, like, so Belgium, Martinez didn't play any players that had more than 50 caps. A weird little rule to impose on yourself, but there's still it's a bloody good team. It's still got Batshuayi, it's still got Tielemans, like a very, very good team. And for Ireland to go 1-0 down through a great Batshuayi goal, for them to fight back. Now, this guy, Chedozie Ogbene, I'm absolutely in love with him. He plays for Rotherham, and he's got 6 caps and 3 goals. He plays on the right wing, and he scored an overhead kick in this game and set up the second equaliser. The overhead kick, he kind of flicks it up for himself to then kick. Beautiful, beautiful goal. And he's a player that, like, not only am I really excited about, because every time I've seen him play for Ireland, he's been like the catalyst of everything, but he kind of, as I talked about before, he signals this new generation of Irish players, which is multicultural, which is kind of, he seems like he absolutely loves playing for the shirt. These young players are really getting into it. And there was a great moment where Thierry Henry, of course, sat on the bench for the Belgian team, got booed by the entire Aviva Stadium, proving that Ireland fans do not forget. And even as much as I love Thierry Henry, the second is against Ireland, I'm like, oh, you bastard. You bastard. I'll never forgive him. But a great result for Ireland. And Stephen Kenny, all the people who were kind of talking and doubting about him, he's proven them all wrong completely. He has changed Ireland from, like I said before, the Stoke City of football to a genuine, like, pressing, exciting, enjoyable team to watch. And look, as Ireland fans, we don't expect World Cup wins. To qualify for a World Cup would be nice. But I think with him, you can see not only the chance of qualifying, but actually sitting and watching games isn't a slog anymore. You're like, oh, let's sit and watch an Ireland game. This will be good. Like, I used to treat every Ireland game like an England friendly. I just never want to watch it, but this is going to be such a loss of 2 hours. But they're good again. Well, enjoyable again.
Hopefully, Italy don't meet them in the next qualifiers for the World Cup.
Your record against us is pretty bad, actually. Your record against us is pretty terrible.
Exactly what I was thinking. Also, if I was Thierry Henry, just to add some to the banter, I would have just looked at the Irish fans and waved with my left hand. Like, hey, guys, this baby is still right here. Great stuff for Ireland. I do believe, sorry, I really apologize, guys. We've been doing these live streams for 2 years. It was the first time I had to get up because of a neighbor ringing at my doorbell. Are we ready to jump to the World Cup qualifiers, Rory?
Let's do it.
It's now officially 20 teams that have qualified for the World Cup around the world, the latest 3 being Canada, Uruguay, and Ecuador. But let's go through all the names very quick. For the first one that qualified up to the last, we've got Qatar, Germany, Denmark, Brazil, France, Belgium, Croatia, Spain, Serbia, England, Switzerland, the Netherlands. Yeah, so I'm reading them in Italian, translating them. Argentina, Iran, South Korea, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Ecuador, Uruguay, and Canada. There are still 12 spots to be decided, and none of them are going to be for Italy. Rory, where should we start from?
Well, it's on the screen, so let's start from Canada. Bloody hell, Canada are at a World Cup, can you believe it? And they look like a proper football team. They are very, very good. I think they are going to upset. I think a few episodes back, the last international break maybe, I claimed that Canada are going to get through the group stage. I'm going to stick to that prediction. I think they will get into the knockout rounds. This is a very good team. And, okay, they are beating teams like Jamaica, and with all due respect, they're not the strongest opposition, but they're doing it without their best player. Alphonso Davies has not been fit for a long time. They still look like a great team. Their manager can continue 4-0. They won. Kyle Laring getting the first of the goals. That's now 23 goals in 47 caps. He is their best ever goal scorer. The manager has been involved in. He was involved in the Canadian women's team, who was super successful. So he's now come across to the men's team, making them hopefully equally as successful. I think it's just a really nice story to see a massive country who you maybe would expect to be better at football finally kind of reaching their potential, and I think that'll be really interesting to see in Qatar. Although they were playing in -9, so I wonder how they're going to do in Qatar. I wonder how they're going to do.
You mean in +49? Yeah, I wonder how they're going to go too. I have to say, though, that despite their best player not being there, it feels like he's a sort of good luck charm streaming from his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the reaction to one of the goals. I just saw the clip on Instagram. I don't know which goal it was, but he just went like this, didn't say anything, stood up and started dancing. He was like screaming in silence. It was hilarious. If anything, that is one football player that I can see working in cinema once he retires or while he's playing.
Yeah,
he's got like so many times.
He's got personality written all over him, if you know what I mean. He will be like, yeah, he'll be something beyond the game. But the beautiful moment is when the final whistle's blown and he just bursts into tears. Like, you can see how much it means to him that he's going to represent his country at a World Cup. I think it's just really exciting to see a new name. I don't think you often get new names at World Cups. It's like, okay, they've qualified before, but not in our lifetime. Like 3 years before I was alive, 1986, the last time they qualified. Coincidentally, Argentina won that World Cup. So Argentina are kind of looking like one of the favourites. Is Canada the first sign that might happen again? But I think it's just really nice to see a kind of new name there and somewhat like so many exciting players. Jonathan David, like this is a good team. And as Hopeless Wanderer say, but even the USA, who were one of the better sides on paper in CONCACAF, were trounced by Canada. Yeah, exactly. They've shown that they are the better team than the USA at the moment, without a doubt. So very excited to see the Canadians. I've got a few uncles over there, and I am messaging them, seeing if they can send me a shirt. And maybe if they know anyone within the Canadian team, hopefully.
Shall we stay in North America to take a look at the other teams trying to qualify? Of course, Canada are through. In second place, we've got the United States, who have won their latest fixture today, 5-1 against Panama, a hat-trick by Pulisic, however, 2 penalties and goals by Arriola and Ferreira. The only goal, the consolation goal for Panama, came from Godoy at the 86th minute.
Have you seen Pulisic's embarrassing worm that he tried to do?
No, I haven't seen it.
One of his celebrations was like a worm. It was really bad. It was just really bad. Yeah.
Well, I've always thought about that. Like, you see a lot of tight celebrations, and I'm like, when do they train for these? You know, it feels just normal that
he's kind
once
of like,
in a while.
You can see him pushing off too much. I don't know. It doesn't look great.
Can you do the warmer, Rory?
No. What do you think? Fucking hell. No.
I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know.
I'm just here to judge other people's worms, which sounds weird.
All right, it's pawn time. Mexico, in other news, win away at Honduras with a goal by Alvarez at the 70th minute, and Costa Rica are still, and they will be, in the fourth place with 22 points. Now, there is going to be only one game left for each of these teams, and Costa Rica and the United States are going to take on each other this very Thursday. The other game is Mexico, El Salvador. Of course, the fourth spot will have to play the Intercontinental Playoffs. Shall we go to Africa, Rory?
Let's do Africa. So, all the qualifiers took place on Friday night. And let's start with the rematch. The rematch of the Afcon final. Egypt taking on Senegal. This time, Egypt were victorious. You could see they properly wanted this one. They scored really early through an own goal from Sis, but Mo Salah absolutely rockets it against the crossbar. It bounces against Sis and goes in. Senegal had more chances as the game went on, but Egypt were able to secure the 1-0 lead before they take the rematch back in Senegal. Elsewhere, Mali 0, Tunisia 1, an own goal by Sissoko. He had an awful game. The own goal was just genuinely calamitous, just doesn't look up, passes it to his keeper. You know, when you've I imagine that he passed it and went, oh, that was a bit hard. It just instantly, you could tell he passed it with a bit too much power, goes into the goal. A short time afterwards, he then receives a red card, an insanely harsh red card. There was very little contact on the Tunisian striker as he was through on goal, but he went down and he was sent off. But Mali, despite being down to 10 men, did actually kind of dominate towards the end of the game. And Tunisia were fortunate to get out with a 1-0, but they did get out with a 1-0, and they have the second leg at home. Elsewhere, Dr. Congo and Morocco drew 1-1. The Congo goal was deflected through Brentford man Wissa. He hit the post later on as well. There was, talking of awful penalties, Tommy, the Morocco penalty in this by, I want to say his name right, Ryan Mamai. He
doesn't sound like a Moroccan name.
Mammaee. I don't know how you'd say it. I have no idea.
Mammaee.
Maybe. He stuttered like the kind of Jorginho skip and then just blasted it over the crossbar. Genuinely awful penalty. But Morocco did manage to equalise in the 76th minute, setting it up nicely for the second leg. And the only other game was... Oh, no, there's two more games. One more game. Cameroon 0, Algeria 1. Onana made an incredible save from Slimani, Tommy. Genuinely a sign of hope. But then Slimani scored and Onana arguably could have done better. But the game, super, super tight. Both teams had chances. Mandy made an incredible tackle at the end to keep it 1-0. Dean Ami was very loud on Twitter this weekend, really enjoying that win. And I saw a video of the queues in Algeria for people trying to get tickets for the home game. It is madness. Apparently people have been sleeping outside, sleeping on the streets for weeks, just queuing for these tickets. It's insanity. And then finally, there was one more game. The Jollof Derby, Ghana versus Nigeria, ended 0-0. So hopefully
we don't know who makes the best Jollof still. Guys, we're still trying to figure it out. Come on, give us some answers.
So hopefully, the second leg will be a bit better. Again, both teams had chances. It was very, very cagey, I would say, cagey. The atmosphere looked incredible, though. It was kicking off that derby, properly heated. So it's all to play for. The matches, the second legs are tomorrow night. So make sure to sit down from 7 o'clock European time. They will be kicking off. I'm going to say stick with the Ghana-Nigeria game. There's going to be drama in there. There's definitely going to be drama.
And we're going to move to South America, where Brazil, Argentina, Ecuador, and Uruguay, 4 teams have already qualified for the World Cup. About Uruguay, guys, this team, they went on a massive slump. They went on a slump of 4 consecutive defeats. And then after that, they had 3 wins that secured them the World Cup spot. But behind them, there is only one place left to go play the Intercontinental Playoff, and it's between Peru, who are currently sitting on the spot at 21 points, Colombia, who are trailing by 1, and Chile, who are trailing by 2. All of these fixtures are going to be on Wednesday. So for you listeners on Monday night, the day after tomorrow, why did I need to specify that? Of course, when it's Wednesday, it's the day after Tuesday, which comes
Just to be
after
super,
Monday.
super clear, that's all. And the day
God damn
before
it.
Thursday, just in case you get confused.
You see, being a teacher, sometimes you can turn into an asshole. I didn't mean to offend you guys. I know you know the days of the week, but on Wednesday, we've got Chile taking on Uruguay, possibly the toughest
Ooh.
of the 3 games. I don't think they have what it takes to win it. Peru take on Paraguay, and the most comfortable, just on paper, sounds Venezuela against Colombia. One of these 3 teams only is going to go through. Rory, any preferences between Peru, Chile, and Colombia?
Peru, I love their kits. I absolutely love their kits. And it feels like a while since they've been at a World Cup. So I'm going to go for Peru. I love a sash on a kit.
What was the name of that player at the last World Cup who was going to be disqualified for cocaine use? His name is escaping me. Guys on the chat, if you can think of his name, that would be great. Peruvian player. He was going to be disqualified. And then in the end, I think that he got to play the World Cup. But funny story, when I was in Peru, when I was traveling across South America on my own, in Peru, they told me...
cocaine.
Come on, Roy. I'm not afraid to admit that I was downing on a lot of coca leaves. I really like coca leaves.
Nice.
Because of the altitude. No, and because I'm a cigarette smoker, and I like to just, having something to spend my time with in my mouth. It sounds horrible. But the thing is that on New Year's, they told me, I asked them if there was a tradition in Peru. In Italy, for example, you're supposed to wear something red on New Year's. And they said, of course, you have to wear yellow underwear. And I was like, oh, really? Yellow underwear? Fine. So I went to a street market, and everybody was selling yellow underwear for boys and girls and whatever. And I just selected one. I still have it in my drawer with the player on it. Like on the S, there is that player.
I've just searched Guerrero.
Yeah, celebrating a goal like this, looking up at the sky. And guys, I wore that underwear that very night. And I got lucky. I'm not going to tell you the details, but it was a lucky night for your boy Tommy. So, yeah, I hope... Look, the big hope would be for Chile to make it. If they make it, it would be incredible because nobody's expecting them to. I would love to see Sanchez play at another World Cup, Vidal even. Sure. I feel like there are a lot of players that are going to retire soon. While Peru, it feels like it's the new generation coming up. I wish for Chile to qualify, but I think in the end, it will be Peru. Only time will tell. Anything else for what concerns World Cup qualifiers, Rory?
I think that's all of it. I think we've covered it all. You can let us know if we haven't, guys, but I think we've done the world in 38 minutes.
But I also think that we need to mention a name that came up during the interview with our friend Daniele Tinti. Eriksen came back before Spinazzola, and he also scored on his first international touch back on the pitch since that day.
And what a goal. What a goal.
It's just those goals that they look so simple, but at the same time, if you've kicked the ball here and then, you know that it's extremely complicated to make it look so easy. Feelings, I was honestly touched when I saw Eriksen score and just went yes, fuck yeah. Felt like it meant the world to him, really.
It was a beautiful moment, genuinely beautiful moment. It's kind of interesting. He had an interview where he said he doesn't want people to go easy on him because he knows that there was that moment where he kind of almost had a fight with a Premier League player, and then they saw that it was him, and they were like, oh, and hugged him, which was a really nice moment. But then he was like, hey, guys, I still want to play football. I'm not don't just give me special dispensation because of what I've been through. You need to and I think this was another moment for him to be like, look, I can still score these absolute worldies, so you better mark me properly, otherwise you're going to lose.
Yeah, he's not I mean, the guy, he's fit to play according to international law, so just treat him like any other player, really. But beautiful stuff to see Chris score again. Plenty of Inter pages retweeting it. It feels like he should still be here. We miss you, Chris. And so, Rory, I think it's time to dedicate a good chunk of our time. As our friend Monde Sportif says, I think you mean if Peru qualify, Tommy does the pod in his lucky pants. All right, I will do it. Why not?
Oh, Christ, there's something for you all to... We're meant to encourage people to come onto the live stream, Tommy.
Sorry?
We're meant to be encouraging people to watch. Yeah.
Well, hey, somebody wanted to see that yellow underwear that night, so I am... maybe billions of people out there want to do the same thing. But I think it's time to address the questions that we received on our social media. Rory, do you want to start with any particular question from our listeners?
Just because I'm feeling mean, let's go for the Italian questions. I want to put you in a bad mood, Tommy. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So the first
for it.
question was from Mondo Sportif. Now we're going to go through the starting 11 of that fateful night in Palermo. And Tommy, you need to sub one, keep one, and retire one. So the team was, of course, Donnarumma, Florenzi, Mancini, Bastoni, Emerson, Verratti, Jorginho, Barella, Berardi, Immobile, and Insigne. Sub one, keep one, retire one.
All right. I don't really understand how keep one. I'm actually going to keep all the other ones in the pitch too. I don't understand the game.
No, well, if you could pick one, who is the only one? Who is the one that you would keep the most? Like the most important?
Okay, the one that I would keep the most, of course, is Verratti. The one that
Good answer.
the one that I would sub immediately would be Barella, and I would play Pellegrini instead because Barella is not having a good season. And one to retire, wow, it would be an early retirement. But no, Immobile, fuck yeah. Immobile, you can just retire, man. Oh, the abuse, man. The abuse that I heard about Immobile at the barbecue that I had on Saturday. Like at some point I was just eating my food and all of a sudden people started talking football and then they just went on a rant against Immobile and I was just like, wow, if he could hear what his fellow Italians think of him, maybe he would retire himself. All right, let's go one question each. Rory, I'm going to ask you a question from our friend AFC Finners. Rory, would you take Rashford at Arsenal?
In a heartbeat. I think look, there is a player there. He has been through quite a lot, right? He's obviously going through a tough period kind of with his mental health. United is not a good place to be. He's not been coached properly for several years, arguably. I think he's a player that needs to be kind of looked after. He needs to be cared for. He needs to be coached. And I think if he came to Arsenal, he would get that coaching. The only thing that concerns me is that his wages are absolutely massive. And when we've signed from big clubs in the past, it's rarely gone well. I think there are better options out there, but if Arteta thinks he can get something out of him, I'd definitely take him. You got to remember that this guy was scoring a lot of goals for United. There's still a player in there. He just needs his confidence back and to be given a definite position. Like, are you the striker? Are you playing left wing? Right. We'll coach you in that and we'll make you better at that. I think I'd definitely take him. Even if just on the off chance that he's incredible for us and United fans get even like really upset about it. That would be quite nice.
Have there actually been talks with the player about a possible move to Arsenal?
I don't know. I feel like Arsenal get used a lot by agents. We get used a lot by agents. Like Vlahovic did it, Locatelli did it. Like our name gets mentioned a lot to try and get players moves. I don't really think there's any connection there. Really, I don't think United would sell him to us. Because I think PR wise it would be terrible if they're selling one of their biggest names to a club that they deem to be worse than them. I think PR wise it doesn't look great.
All right, let's go with question number 3, Rory. What have we got from our Twitter?
Okay, next one. What has happened to Donnarumma?
Ooh, what has happened to Donnarumma? I think, well, the obvious answer is that he's not getting that much playing time over in Paris. I think, but he knew this going into it. I think that for a goalkeeper, it's never healthy to alternate duties with you not really understanding who's the first choice goalkeeper and the second one. I feel like that creates a lot. Like every time you go to training, especially as a goalkeeper, you need to be very cold-minded, very concentrated. I feel like every time you go into training and you're training separated from the other players with your possible opponent, you cannot be in a good headspace, I feel like. And maybe when you go play at the Bernabeu, you're playing in Keylor Navas's former stadium. You've got these thoughts going into your mind, like, I'm going to be performing better than him, and then you make that bad pass, and then everything kind of falls on you. For that goal that we got scored against Macedonia, upon watching it the first time, I thought it was an incredible shot. but upon rewatching it, I think it's still a very good shot and a very good goal. But I think that Donnarumma, with the reputation that he's got, he should be doing a little bit better. One other thing about Donnarumma, I'm going to use the adverb slightly. I think that Donnarumma has been slightly, his performances have been slightly inflated because of his age for quite some time.
Okay,
If
fair.
you look at it, at Mike Magnan's stats at AC Milan right now, they are much better than Donnarumma's, but you don't hear so much noise around Mike Magnan as much as you did around Gigio. And so I think that he's an incredible talent. He's still super young. He had a very good Euros. But
he had a great Euros. He was arguably the player of the tournament.
He was arguably the player of the tournament. He saved the penalties and everything. It was just sad that that performance was followed by him moving to PSG. In my opinion, he should have just stayed at AC Milan.
I think he was advised really badly there. He was advised badly there. And like we've talked about PSG, but the fact that the owners of that club have got to the point where there's now two world-class goalkeepers who don't know who is number one just signifies it symbolizes what's happening at that club. Like everybody, it's a kind of Football Manager 101 is you tell your goalkeepers who is second choice, because otherwise it's a pain in the arse for dressing room atmosphere, right? Because one of them gets upset. And they've just done that in real life with two, like Keylor Navas is an incredible goalkeeper and Donnarumma is an incredible goalkeeper. And I just think, he's been through a year where his confidence has been shook and his lack of constant football is definitely costing him. Add that to an Italy team that wasn't confident and was not composed. I think he was bound to be found out again. And in the PSG Real Madrid game, the team in front of him collapsed and he collapsed.
Our friend Monde Sportif is asking who would be a decent replacement for Donnarumma. You see, our friend Monde, I'm going to call you World for short. If Sportif is your last name, Monde is going to be the first name. No, actually, guys, I did listen to your pod the other day, and I enjoyed it. But I don't remember your names, so I'm just going to say Monde Sportif. I don't think, just look how long Buffon was the goalkeeper for Italy. When Italy find a goalkeeper, they kind of stick with that man for the rest of time. The other names of Donnarumma's generation, Cragno is a very good goalkeeper at Cagliari, but I don't think he will ever be able to take his spot unless he does an incredible year or something. I would love to see a bit more of just looking for another one and just not only settling with Donnarumma as is. We've got a new listener that actually subscribed to our channel today. His name is Valentino Grassi, and it really made me smile because one of my very best friends in the world, her name is Valentina Grassi. So at first I thought it was an alias. But I'm going to read the question. Considering Gigio's move, what do you think about all these top players moving as free agents? Seems that many stars are making bad career choices when fully making them their choices. Damn, nice one.
Yeah, I think it was always a move that was going to happen. From when Bosman created or fought for that law, it was football transfers were always eventually going to get to this point where player power was going to get to the point where they can decide their own futures. I think the fact that they can just get horrifically big signing on fees means now they are just looking at the money rather than does the club make sense. Even we're looking at Kylian Mbappe now, right? He's been linked to Real Madrid. Everyone seems to think that it's definitely going to be Real Madrid. But if Man City suddenly come in with £100 million signing on fee, or if Newcastle,
Inter Milan, I don't know,
or if Newcastle suddenly come in with 120 million signing on fee, maybe his head would be turned. I think we are seeing players become more obsessed with money, even players like Neymar with his dad and the amount of money they had to pay his dad when he went to Barcelona. I think they're not being as advised as well, which is a discussion about agents as well, which agents are actually have the best intentions and which agents are just trying to line their pockets, because they are both types, right? But we are seeing a bit of a shift in the attitude, I think. What do you think, Tommy?
I think, well, number one, Valentino, what a great way to introduce yourself to the chat. That was a great question. I do agree with Rory 100%. And I know it sounds very rhetorical, but yes, it does sound like players are always more moved by the money than the footballing prospect itself, which makes it sad. And then it results in very bad moves like Gigio Donnarumma's move. Around going back to Gigio, I think there is a lot of pressure from his family too. Like it's almost like a family-run business, like his career, and that puts you, which is sounds like such an awful idea, puts against your mom and dad and brother, and it just sounds toxic as fuck. I just hope his career isn't wasted because of this decision. And even Keylor Navas, like I love that goalkeeper, and if I were him, I would get the fuck out of Paris. I would find a team that believes in me, gives me full minutes, full games to play, and just stick with that.
But the fact is now, like, even players like that, like Donnarumma, right, who can realistically afford him now? Like, how much do PSG ask for? 160 million, 150 million? Like, these players now, it's almost the point where transfer fees are getting so big that players at a certain level have to wait for free transfers because nobody can actually afford them. Like, it feels like a kind of a snake eating its own tail almost, if you know what I mean. If it, like, the players... Nobody can come and buy Mbappe. No one can pay for Mbappe. They have to wait for his contract to run out, right?
Yeah. 100%. And Valentino says, yeah, I totally agree. My Lazio and Milan as well is too dependent on few agents bringing in bad players, etc., etc. I'm going to answer another question that we received on our Instagram. The question is from an Australian listener of ours. His name is Johnny Dagas, I want to say. And he says, why don't Italians trust youth? Why?
Well, I saw an incredible stat that there was 18 players under 21 that Italian that had played in Serie A, and something like 12 of them were centre backs. Like, there is not a, despite what I was saying on the last pod, it turns out I was completely wrong. There aren't a lot of opportunities given to young Italian players. Like, why do you think that is, Tommy?
Man, I don't know about. I think honestly, I know you sent me a great screenshot today of what your mate thought about my rant over Italy. You guys can listen to it. I re-listened to it, which is something that I do sometimes when I go on a bit of a blurb. Sometimes then I drink a beer at night, then I drink another beer, and I'm like, oh God, did I just say a bunch of bullshit on the pod?
Now that'll stop you from sleeping. Those thoughts.
Exactly.
Wait,
so the other night,
tomorrow.
So on Friday night, I was walking back home and I re-listened to the pod, and I said, all right, maybe I rant a little bit and my points aren't super clear, but I do think that it's just the way the country is run. It's a country for old men. Italy is a country for old men. No kidding. Like, and look, this is a great example. What got me a lot into comedy this year, it's because there is a group of young Italian comedians, one of which we interviewed last week. And for the first time, this happened during the lockdown. I started discovering all these new actors and comedians doing their own stuff, doing cool projects on social media. And I was just like, woof, fresh air finally, because we were literally stuck with the same comedians and actors that my mom and dad grew up watching. Yeah. And finally, that's why I really got into it, because I'm like, so it is possible even in this country to make a career as a young man out of like just being creative and saying whatever you want. I think it's an institutional problem, man. And about its infrastructures, it's plenty of different stuff. I just think there isn't the right system to spot them.
But so do you think that if a coach was like, let's say Vincenzo Italiano, right, at Fiorentina, he just suddenly starts a lot of young Italian players, which I feel like would be his style, right?
Yeah.
If it didn't go well, do you think the media would be jumping on him straight away and jumping on him about the fact that he's playing young players?
Yeah. Yeah. I would.
So you think the media has a big part of it that they'd be like, because I think in England, there's a bit of a like, when young players play, we get very excited about young players, right? Every English player that starts in the Premier League at 18 is going to be the next Pele. We get very excited about young players, whereas I feel like in Italy, it's not the same.
But take a Castrovilli, who had an incredible season last year. This year, of course, I got him in fantasy football. I was like such a good player. He's a highlight of the season, by the way, was running into the post at full speed and missing out on 6 games because of a fractured rib. rib cage.
I
But
had him last season. He did all right for me.
yeah, fuck that. No, honestly, really, that was his highlight. Him, you can find it on YouTube too, probably posted by another salty fantallenatore like myself. But take Castrovilli. He had a very good season last year, and this year, he's had a few bad games, then a few injuries, and Vincenzo Italiano, right now, he's started playing him a bit more often, but it's not like the Italian press ever wrote an article like, we're so excited to see a bit of Castrovilli again. It's like, oh, you started the season like shit? Forgotten. Like, these kids are young. Do you want to like kind of stick to the hype, or do you just want to throw it there and then just like let it sink whenever it sinks? Like, come on, if you're gonna back somebody, just like back them up the entire way.
Well, listen, and it depends on the tone as well, because obviously with young players, you know that they're inconsistent. They are going to have ups and downs, and it's whether you turn around as a media and say, "Oh, he's going through a rough patch, therefore he's shit," or you say, "Oh, he's going through a rough patch. We need to support him through that rough patch," and we still know there's a good player there. Like we've seen it in England where certain players through rough patches are supported, and certain players like Rashford through rough patches are attacked. So I think it changes on a player by player base, but you need the kind of that environment for managers to feel safe enough to take these risks.
Yeah, and for the players too. Like I was just thinking today, I saw this edit of both Berardi and Scamacca wearing an AC Milan kit. Apparently, they've been in talk. Like the AC Milan has been in talks with the Sassuolo. But I was just thinking, imagine Scamacca goes through a 5-game drought. I'm like, the Italian press are just gonna tear him apart, and it's part of the game. All right, it's part of the game. But I'm just saying, our press expects a lot, but doesn't back the players that much. Once you've earned your caps, once you've earned your trophies, once you've earned your position as a starter, they back you, but they're very ready to like just turn their back to you as soon as you do something that doesn't work right. Other questions from the Twitter, Rory?
There's one more. I think it's going to wind you up, Tommy, but it's from Mondo Sportif again. They are keeping our content going. We really do need to start giving them commission, even if we were making any money, which we're definitely not. You get commission. So I hope that helps. Is Olivier Giroud bringing it home for AC Milan?
Look, I've already mentioned it once. I just think it's funny. We giggle and joke. I have French friends, and Rory came out with me and them to watch an Inter Milan game once this year. But I don't really like France, and I just think it's particularly fitting that there are so many Frenchmen at AC Milan. The goalkeeper, Mike Maignan, then Theo Hernandez, then Olivier Giroud. And it just like winds me up even more. It's just like all these Frenchmen in my town giving the trophy to the team that I fucking hate. And, we had a French occupation here in Milan, so we're still a little bit salty about that. But look, man, at this point, I'm congratulating all AC Milan fans for having won the Scudetto. Of course, I'm trying to jinx it a little bit, but deep down, I think it's theirs. I think they're going to win it. If Inter win it, it's going to be incredible because it means that there's something insane is going to happen up top. Of course, between AC Milan and Napoli, I hope it's Napoli that wins it.
I want that weekend in Napoli partying with the locals, man. I need it. I need to see Napoli stick a middle finger up to the rest of Italy. I need to see it happen.
But going back to what we were saying about youth earlier, Valentino Grassi coming in with, Valentino Grassi, I like this guy. Just comes in, bam, bam, bam. Okay, so I think it has to do both with the culture factor, the fact that Italians don't believe in youth, and he says that accounts for 99%, and also because coaches have no managerial role, unfortunately, which is something very different from English football. Very good.
No, that's true. They don't set agendas, they don't set philosophies, they don't decide transfers, it's just coaching the players that they're given, isn't it? So I think, that's a massive shout. That is a massive shout.
That's beautiful. I think we're all done with today's episode. I'm looking at my notes. We do have notes, listeners.
Could you believe it?
If we have forgotten anything, but it doesn't. Valentino Grassi already asking for commissions. Rory, you've started a bin fire there. Put it out quick.
It's in the post. Don't worry.
Beautiful. Somebody's asking.
Oh, wait. One last question, Tommy. Let's do it. What is your
was
prediction for the upcoming Inter versus Juve fixture?
I was going to say I was going to say that game is going to be on Saturday, I want to say. So we're going to preview that on Thursday. But I just read a post from the Curva Nord, from the Inter supporters, saying that they won't be traveling to Turin because Juventus have put too few tickets available for them. It's not enough to take the entire Curva. The
Classic
prices were too
Juve.
high, and they have
Classic
to
Juve.
register to the Juventus website, and they refuse to do that. So they're just going to protest and not show up. I'm not
Juve
going to
have
say.
thought that Juve have planned every step of that. They've planned every single step of that. How can we make sure that everything is in our favour? But the thing is, the stadium will still be bloody empty because they can't fill it with their own fans, let alone anybody else's.
Exactly. But look, I'm going to say that, of course, it's going to be a Juventus win. I'm just going to play the reverse game, like little kids, like, you look beautiful today. I'm playing the reverse game.
In
So, yeah,
opposite world.
in opposite world, Juventus, Vlahovic show. Juventus just better Inter. I say 6-0.
Oh, Jesus
That
Christ,
would be
Tommy. If that
terrifying.
happens now, you're going to hate yourself even more than normal.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if I even remember, I'm going to post a picture of my yellow underwear, not me wearing it, but just like sat on a table
We
with
might get
Guerrero.
kicked off Instagram for that.
Exactly. But hey, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a bit of a chit-chatty episode since there wasn't much actual football to talk about, but it's Monday, and Monday means live stream with our listeners. Thank you so much for the support and for the new follows we've received in these past few days. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Anglo-Italian Pod, on Twitter at Italian Anglo Pod, and to give a follow to our sponsor at the Sports Club Maps. The season is getting hot, and we're looking for that hotness from our listeners as well, if that makes any sense. Rory, anything to say?
That's it, really. Football returns next weekend. Arsenal are back in my life, and I don't know how to feel about it. Hear about it on Thursday.
Talk to you on Friday. We're going to record on Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to you guys on
Don't listen
Friday.
to me. That's the lesson.
Talk to you later, guys. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.